Hi guys! So it is May 14th and I wanted to do an updated garden tour. As you can see, my peonies over here are almost getting to that marshmallow stage, which means they're going to be starting to open up probably in a week or so. And I'll do a peony tour. I am going to try to cut some of my peonies to sell them at the local farm where I sold them last year. But I wanted to show you this garden bed. Over here there's some daffodils that have gone past, and this yellow plant here has been spreading over the years. This is called basket of gold alyssum. It's a perennial alyssum. And then over here I have a ground cover phlox that's usually completely covered in pink flowers. This year I got a sporadic bloom. I'm not sure what happened there, but I'm still happy with it. And then this is a poppy, and I have grown the same variety from seed in my other garden, which I'll show you next. This is called Princess Victoria Louise. My lilac, my Sensation lilac, just finished its bloom, and I'm going to be cutting off all the spent blooms to encourage more blooms next spring. When you prune your lilac, you want to do it right after the flowers have bloomed. And then over here in this little garden bed in front of our house, there are some Josie lilacs, which are small shrub lilacs that only get about 4.5 to 5 feet tall. And then I have a lot of Sweet William in here. It does seem like I have less Sweet William than I had last year, so I'll have to plant more. And my Sweet William, I can't figure out if it's a perennial or a biennial. I think it's supposed to be a biennial, but every year the greenery stays throughout the winter, and I get a lot of flowers every spring without planting any new ones, so they must be just self-seeding. And then I've planted a bunch of, excuse the weeding mess over there, but I've planted a bunch of lilies in this garden bed here and in other spots in my garden, and those are starting to come up. And over here the cerinthe still hasn't grown at all. I'm going to move these to a sunnier location. I just feel like this entire bed gets a lot of shade. It just isn't getting enough sun, and I have some other plants in here. There's another basket of gold alyssum, but I have a lot of snapdragons in here that really haven't done anything, so I'm going to be moving those out of this garden bed. They're just not growing. And then in the back there, that is, those are daylilies. And then this is my favorite garden bed, and it's changed a lot in the last week. This plant here is a red twig dogwood, and I may move it because it can get really large. The stems get red in the winter, so it looks really nice in the winter. It's supposed to be flowering. It's in its 3rd year and it didn't flower yet, so maybe next year it'll flower. And then I have some various perennials in this garden bed. I have this flower here is a red flower. And I won't go through every plant in this bed, but I'll just talk about plants that are either blooming or about to bloom, because it is mid-May, and then you'll get a sense of what can bloom at this time of year. Again, we have the basket of gold alyssum all along this walkway. The pink flower is a perennial called soapwart. It's a low-growing perennial, and they've kind of mixed themselves together over the years. I didn't even plant all of this. They spread themselves. In this garden bed, I have a lot of poppies. These are oriental poppies called Princess Victoria Louise. And those are going to be popping up really soon. And I'll show you my poppies when they're in bloom. They look lovely. They're like a deep peach color. Now, poppies don't like to be moved. I have tried to divide and move these, and I was not successful. So they're easy to grow from seed. This particular poppy is anyway. And then over here I have the wild bergamot that I mentioned in my last video. I can't wait to see it. It is a native plant, and I'm hoping it will look nice here. There is the soapwort. It doesn't have a fragrance, but it's really lovely. There's a bunch of daffodils mixed in here with the poppies. And then I have, this is a lily. This is a white fragrant lily called Casablanca. This is catmint, Walker's Low. Then I'm really excited to show you the irises did pop up. That one will bloom soon. And then there's another one over here, which will be blooming soon. I'm hoping that my irises, grow every year. I have two varieties. I have one called Jennifer Rebecca, and then another one called Blue Suede Shoes, and they are reblooming irises. I have a lot of yarrow in this bed, and I have lamented before about my yarrow. I love yarrow. The deer leave it alone, but I always get aphids on most of my yarrow. I know I can spray them with a soapy solution that kind of helps a little bit. But guys, if you have any tips on how to get rid of aphids, let me know, because they completely cover my yarrow, and it's disappointing because I like to pick my yarrow for arrangements, and they're just usually covered in aphids. But I still like yarrow. And then this shrub right here is a crepe myrtle. There's a weed growing in the middle of it that I need to pull out. This is the crepe myrtle. It just started leafing out. It blooms in August. And we are in zone 6A, and we are able to have this type of crepe myrtle. I want to say it's the Zumi variety. So we are able to grow crepe myrtle this far north. And then down here I have some brown-eyed Susan with some liatris in here. The spiky plant here is liatris. This here is a lilac shrub. It didn't bloom this year. And I planted a whole bunch of peonies the last 2 years. This particular peony plant is interesting because it came from seeds that developed, a seedling developed just in one of my other garden beds. So I moved it here, and it's like a hybrid. It looks similar to a couple of my other peonies, but I didn't buy the the bare root or anything. It just developed on its own. The one next to it, the same thing happened. And then over here, this peony is a Sarah Bernhardt that I planted 2 years ago, so I might get a couple blooms on it. But really, your peonies don't bloom until year 3 and after. So still have a little more cleanup to do. I definitely have a lot of weeding to do that I didn't get done. I have a lot of blanket flower in this garden bed, and the reason why I didn't clean this garden bed up is the blanket flower is a perennial, but in the spring I started pulling up some of this debris, and it was ripping up the roots of the blanket flower. So I leave my blanket flower to develop a little further before I pull up the dead branches. And then over here we have some butterfly weed. This is the orange short butterfly weed. This is in its 3rd year growing. There's some more soapwort. And then we have some rose campion over there. It's the grayish lighter color leaves with a lot of yarrow back there. There is a lupin. And then there's one of the peonies I planted in one of my other videos. You can even see some of the buds forming on the lavender, which seems early to me. And then I'm excited for my clematis here. Normally, I prune my clematis in early spring down to the ground because it's a tangle of branches, but this year I left it alone. I think I'm actually going to get even more flowers, so maybe in the future I'll just leave it alone instead of pruning it. There's another smaller peony that I think I planted last year. It's not going to have any flowers on it, but next year it will. And then here's my 8 peony plants in here that are budding up. I have a lot more yarrow here. And then this is the weed mess that I need to clean up. But we'll walk around and see the other part of the garden. This is a geranium that I think I'm going to move because it's just getting too much shade down here. I had split it in half. As you can see, there's 2 parts, but I'm going to move it. But again, this is just such a weedy mess. I'm almost embarrassed to show it. I have a lot of coneflower over here. And this yarrow is a yellow yarrow called Cloth of Gold. And then there's a little bit more rose campion. And I have some rose campion that moved to the edge of the bed near the driveway, which I think I'm going to just dig up and move into other spots. More yarrow, more phlox, and then let's come back over onto this part of the garden. I've just been so busy I haven't had time to weed. But as you can see, these peonies are really budding up. I think peonies are one of my top 3 favorite flowers. And I have 2 large lavender plants here. These are only in their 3rd year. They got really big. The lilac forms a nice privacy hedge if you want something for privacy. I feel like lilacs do a good job with that. And then this is what the garden bed looks like from the other side. There's some more catmint with yarrow. And then this is that plant I was telling you about, the silky dogwood. I have 4 of these and they're all various sizes. They do get really large, so I may move them. And there is the iris, one of the 2 irises. There's the other one. So as you can see, I enjoy perennials. And next time, guys, I promise I'll have it weeded before my next video. I just haven't had a chance. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope everyone's gardens are coming along well, and I'll talk to you soon.